Okay, I want to welcome you to today's lesson. We are continuing with our studies on stored procedures, which we started in the last lesson. So I'll quickly go to my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, we said that in T-SQL, you can use a number of constructs which are not available in the ordinary SQL standard. And these include the control statements or structures. And we did mention particularly that you can make use of the if-else statement or construct, then the case and the while statement. And we went up to using the if-else statement or construct. So today I want to continue from there. We say that if you can use the if-else statement for conditional execution of SQL statements. That is when you want to perform one action if the given condition is true and perform another action if the given condition evaluates to false or is false. And that's the syntax. So you start with if, then the expression whose result or outcome should either be true or false, followed by one or more SQL statements.
I can't see anything from the screen.
Even now, you can't see the PowerPoint presentation.
No, it's just saying that you've started screen sharing, but nothing is showing.
Me, it's showing.
Just check your settings. There could be something wrong. But I've shared my desktop and particularly my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so that's the if-else statement. And we have an example here, a simple one. Remember, we did talk about declaration of variables. So I've declared a number of variables here. I've declared a number of variables. I can put a comment there. And then I assign a variable. I assign the value 10,000 to a variable called at sales amount, sale amount. Let me just use the correct word. Okay. So after declaring the variable, I assign the value to this variable, and then I check the value of the variable to see whether it's greater than 10,000. If it is greater than 10,000, then the rate is 10. Otherwise, that is, if it is less than 10,000, the rate will be 5. And I use that to calculate the commission by taking the sales amount, multiplying it by the rate, and dividing by 100. We are dividing by 100 because this is supposed to be a percentage, and that's why I'm dividing by 100. Okay. So this was one example I gave you of how you can use the if-else construct. So I'll go ahead and execute it again so that we see. So we see that the value is 10,000, which means it is not greater than 10,000, the sales amount. So the commission rate is 5%. So when you multiply 5% by 10,000, you'll get 500. But if we increase that amount to say 15,000 and executed, you see that I've put 15,000. No. Let me just see what I've missed out. Sales amount. Sorry, not here. I was supposed to change the assignment there. Here, I'll just put
this is better.
If else construct. Okay. So I've set the sales amount to 15,000. So this expression is going to evaluate to true. So the rate is supposed to be 10%, which will be 10% of this sales amount. And so we get 1,500, okay? So that's how you use the if-else construct. It allows for the program or the stored procedure or the batch for that matter to be able to have some logic. It will not just execute statement one after the other, but it will be able to make decisions to see if something is true or false. And if it's true, then it will perform one action. If it's false, is going to perform a different action.
Sir,
Yes.
Yes, I don't know which one you are presenting. Is it you still the PowerPoint presentation, or you have switched to what Studio Saver?
Sorry.
Because what is showing is the PowerPoint still is
Yes.
showing.
Sorry,
Okay, yeah.
I switched without switching
Okay.
in. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I hope
it's
now you
showing
can see that.
Yes, it's showing.
Okay. So I'm saying I've declared the variables there, and then I've set the value of sales amount to 15,000. Then I come to the if else construct to check if the value value of sales amount is greater than 10,000. If it is greater than 10,000, then the commission rate is going to be 10%. If it's not greater than 10,000, the commission rate is going to be 5%. Okay, so when you execute that, you get 1,500 because that's 10% of 15,000. If we change this to say maybe 7,000, 7,000 is less than 10,000. So this part is going to be false. So it's going to skip this and come to this part and set the rate to 5%, which will be 5% of that, which should be about 350.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how you use the if else construct. You can also use it to check if, for example, you want to create a stored procedure which will query a given table. Before querying a table, you can check if the given table exists or if the condition is not going to give a null value, so that you avoid the complication that can arise when you try to perform calculations using null values.
Okay.
So the next construct is the okay, this is another example of the if else construct. In this one, we declare a variable called rate, which is in form of money, and then we use a select statement to obtain rate from a table called employee pay history, where the employee ID is 23. And then we check if the rate for that employee is 15, is less than 15. If that is true, then the scenario here is human resource department. They're trying to review the salaries for employees. And maybe the new policy is such that each employee should be paid about $20. The lowest paid employee should be paid about $20 per hour or per week or per whatever. And so you can run through the table and check the employees whose rate of pay is less than 15. And for them, you want to show the message that the review of the rate is required. But if an employee has a rate which is about 20 or greater than 15, you want to print a message saying review of the rate is not required, and then you show the current rate of that employee. Okay. The next construct is the case statement. A case statement can be used in situations where you have several conditions that need to be evaluated. For example, you have results for students, and one column indicates the grade 1, where that's the grade 1, 2, 3, and so on. And instead of using repeatedly the if-else statement, you can use the case statement to evaluate, to establish which condition is going to be true and what should be done if that condition is true. So for a case statement, a simple case statement, you start with this case keyword, then you put the expression. This expression is what is going to contain a value which will be checked in subsequent lines. And then for each possible value of this, you are going to say when this is this, then you put what the result should be. So if the student has obtained a grade 1, you want probably to say distinction. If the student has obtained a grade 2, the grading is grade 2, you want to say maybe merit. If it's grade 3, maybe you want to say credit or pass or something like that. Then you end with this statement else, which is like the default. This one is going to capture if all the other statements above turn out to be false, then this is what is going to be executed. That's what is going to be returned as the value. Okay. Okay, here is an example. In the AdventureWorks database, there is a table called employee, and in this table, the gender or marital status is just indicated as MS, or it's not specified, where M is supposed to stand for married, S is supposed to stand for single. So you can execute this statement to show whether the employee is married or is single, depending on what letter has been indicated. The same applies to gender. Sometimes you can create a table, and for gender, you only set F for female, M for male. But when you are trying to present the information to the user, you may want to present the full word as male or female. And so you can use the case construct to do that, okay? Let me go now to the Management Studio and look at a few examples of this. Okay. So I'm going to just illustrate and so we have this one that I've given you. Where we want to check the marital status of employees from this table, employee table. Okay, so you take note. You start with select employee ID. Then we also want to show the marital status. So the information is going to be displayed in form of table because we're using this select statement. So the first column is going to be showing the employee ID. The second column, we are going to give it the name or the alias marital status. And this is where we are going to be checking. In the table, we only have the letters M, S, or there's nothing, or there could be some other letters. So when we find that the letter in the column is M, we want to show the word married. If the letter is S, we want to show single. So let me go back to Management Studio and switch to the database. So we're saying we want to select employee. First, let me human resources. Okay, so once the employee ID, comma, then we're going to have an alias, which we're going to say marital status, which will be equal to, then we say case, okay. And remember what we have, the layout we have here. We have going to take this is the name of the column in the table.
Okay.
This is the alias or the new name that we want to be displayed in the results. Okay.
Okay.
So we say marital. I need to do it. Okay. Case. Then after that, we say when that is equal to M, then we want to show the word married. When it's S, then want to show single. Okay. So we have given those two values, but you'll notice this that before we end, this is optional, where we say else. It's a default value, just in case there are maybe some employees are divorced, so they have entered D, or widowed, there is W, and so, or there is nothing in the cell. We don't want to give an error message when the user is executing. So instead, we want the database to just display a message saying not specified.
Okay.
So we say else not specified. Let me say end. Okay. So this is our case statement. We want to retrieve that information from the table and substitute the values M and S for with married and single. So I just go ahead and execute that. So you see that it will show you that. Maybe let me just add this answer to see what is originally in the table. So I'll say, so in the table where there is M, it will show married. Where there is S, it will show single. And I think all of them are just single M. But in some cases, okay, we are, all of them. Yeah. There could be cases where maybe they have put D for divorced or widowed and so on. And in such cases, it would show the last option here. So that's the case statement. Okay.
Okay.
So you use a case statement where you need to evaluate multiple conditions. Another example is you have you're dealing with results, okay, where someone gets a certain, maybe above 75, it's a 1, maybe about between 60 and 74 is a 2, and so on. And you want to indicate maybe comments. For those who have gotten 1, you want to say distinction. For those who have gotten 2, you want to say very good. For those who have gotten 3, you want to say maybe work hard, and so on. So you can use it like this. I'll declare a variable, which I'll just say grade, and let's say int, and then I'll say set grade to equal to 1. Then I'll say case, say grade. Then I'll say, I'm sorry, I need to select this. I'll say select case. So say when 1, we want say Ben, want say excellent. When Stu, we want to say very good. When three, then one say fair. When four, one say bear pass. Else, one say fail. Okay, so we want to be able to check what number has been assigned to grade and put an appropriate comment for that. So if the value is 1, we want to show excellent. If this person got a 3, we want to show fair. If this person got maybe a 5 or 6, let's just say 6. So want to show fair. Okay. So that's how we use the case statement. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions? Any comments?
I just want to find out because I saw something like on the if else statement, the one that we started with, where you assigned an alias and the name of the what? Yes, marital status, line 18.
Yes.
Marital status. Yes, it has a space between marital and the status, while the original name of the column does not have a space. So I just wanted to ask if in assigning aliases, it accepts you putting spaces between words that you are actually assigning
if
as
spaces are
aliases.
accepted in names of their code identity or names of columns. Yes, anyone who can respond to that. Anyone who can respond to that. Okay, what we said about aliases is that aliases, column aliases are used when you want to assign user-friendly names to columns.
Yes.
They are not acceptable in SQL Server. But when you need to present information and present it in such a way that it's in a user-friendly format, maybe I've used acronyms, abbreviations, which might be confusing to the person using the database. You can use an alias where you use a descriptive name with a normal spacing, just like normal writing. Okay. That's why I have put that in quotation marks and I've used equal sign. This equal sign is used to indicate that what I have there is an alias. It doesn't exist. This is not the actual name which is in the table.
Okay.
Yes.
I can understand.
Okay. Let me open the Okay, so that's a case statement. The last statement is the while statement. While statement can be used in a batch to allow, or in a stored procedure to allow a set of T-SQL statements to be executed repeatedly or a number of times as long as a given condition was true. For example, you want to loop through all the names, all the rows in a table and find where the marital status is now. Nothing was entered. You can use a while loop. So it's going to execute repeatedly the condition to select as long as the condition that you have set is true. For example, you want to print a set of numbers from 1 to maybe 10. So you can set a condition to say, as long as this a variable is less than or equal to 10, print the variable, and you keep increasing it. And it's going to keep printing them until that value is no longer less than or equal is no longer less than or equal to 10. So the syntax is as follows. You have while, then followed by an expression which can either be true or false, then a set of SQL statements which will be executed repeatedly if this condition is true. And then you have the word break and continue. Now, so that's a Boolean expression, and the break keyword causes the control to exit the loop, to exit from the loop, while loop. That is, it will stop executing the while loop and continue to the line with the line that is immediately after the end of the loop. But continue is slightly different. The continue keyword will cause the loop to stop where it has reached and then go and start from the top of the while loop statement again. I don't know if that difference is clear.
Yes, it's very clear, sir.
Okay. My time is up, so I will see you on the other side. We'll take a short break of maybe 5-10 minutes, then we'll come and continue.
Okay, sir.
Okay.